And once you do this audit, the question then arises, how do you improve it? So what might happen? Two kind of patterns might come in this when you do this audit. Similarly in verbal, you do this audit. If I have unlimited time, I remove the time element. Do I have a situation where I can get 2021 correct? Because otherwise, in verbal, if I'm let's say you don't know this information, and you have never done an audit of this. Okay, you've never done an audit of this, and you're doing a verbal mock test, and you are taking your mocks, and you're saying that I'm getting 10 correct, 5 wrong. So that third number is how many corrects and how many wrongs you're getting. Or you can look at these two numbers as, you can also write these two numbers as attempt and correct. You're attempting 15 and you're getting 10 correct. So you're getting a score of, let's say, around 25 to 30 with negative marks in verbal. And you are trying to solve a problem that I want to increase my score. So do you have the ability, if you check that other big number, the knowledge and ability number, वहां पता चलता है कि तुमको टाइम लिमिट हटा दो तो 13-14 क्वेश्चन सही कर सकते हो without time limit. You can do 13-14 questions correct without time limit. So you're already getting 10 correct inside time limit. तो इससे ज्यादा तुम कर नहीं पाओगे. You can never do it. कुछ भी कर लो तुम स्पीड बढ़ा लो, एफिशिएंसी बढ़ा लो, स्टेट ऑफ माइंड इंप्रूव कर लो, नॉलेज ही नहीं है तो क्या करोगे? अब मैं अगर राफेल नडाल के साथ टेनिस खेलने जाऊंगा तो मेरा एबिलिटी उसके लेवल का तो नहीं है ना. आई एम ओके एज अ क्लब प्लेयर बट आई एम नॉट, डोंट हैव द एबिलिटी ऑफ दिस. तो मैं कितना भी ओवर परफॉर्म कर जाऊं उस दिन, द परफॉर्मेंस ऑन द डे कांट टेक मी अगेंस्ट हिम. आई माइट नॉट win more than 10 points in a whole match, in a 5-set match against him. वो भी उसके एरर्स पे जीतूंगा rather than my own winners. So that's the point. So the challenge now, if you want to raise this, the raising will come from here, not from improving your speed and this thing, right? So there will be two kinds of patterns when you look at this audit. We have around 500 people in the session, so you'll see two kinds of patterns once you get the audit. One pattern will be knowledge deficient. The other pattern will be knowledge sufficient. Now, if you are knowledge sufficient on a section, then you don't need to do any more basic work on this. Then your work shifts to speed. But if you are knowledge deficient, then you'll have to do a deeper audit. Which question type, which chapter do you have the deficiency? In maths, which chapter? In verbal and DILR, is it a question type or is it a miscellaneous aspect where the deficiency is? और फिर उसको तो उस deficiency को तुमको bridge करना पड़ेगा. That's the whole idea. So let's be very focused about this fact कि जब तक बिना audit किए हुए हमें, as I said, Adarsh does this. Suppose let's say there's a student, Achal is there in this class. So let's say she picks up, her knowledge is 20 or 22 in maths. Let's say she can do 20 or 22 questions in maths without time limit. So and she's only solving 10 to 11 questions in the mock. So her problem is conversion. तो ये अगर knowledge work करेगी, ये अगर चैप्टर पे जाके नॉलेज वर्क करेगी, नॉलेज डेफिशिएंट वाला, तो नहीं वर्क करने वाला. हर स्कोर इज नॉट गोइंग टू चेंज. एंड लाइकवाइज somebody who is knowledge sufficient and needs to work on speed, if I mean if she's already getting 20 or 22 correct, she's knowledge sufficient and she does knowledge deficiency wala work, so she'll be wasting her time, she'll be wasting her precious study sessions. On the other hand, somebody who's knowledge deficient works on something that somebody knowledge sufficient should work on. So then obviously he or she is wasting his time. You first have to get your knowledge up. And then, of course, when you talk about knowledge deficient, knowledge sufficient, it will not just section wise that you leave it. You have to then break it down into as I said, you have to break it down into chapters in quants and question types in verbal and DILR. So you have to then, the audit has to go into dimensions. This chapter, average chapter, time split distance chapter, permutation combination chapter, knowledge deficiency and knowledge sufficient domain. 20 chapters in maths is easy to do in maths. In verbal and DILR, it will be question types, right? एक तो LR में question types पे switch कर दो, puzzles and conflict reasoning and games and tournaments etc. Verbal में भी question type पे आ जाओ, odd man out and para summary etc. So we are doing a knowledge and ability audit. Am I knowledge deficient or knowledge sufficient? So it might happen that in quants you are knowledge deficient in 3 chapters, knowledge sufficient in 17 chapters, or vice versa. So that will define. Then those 3 chapters don't require knowledge deficiency work. The work for somebody who is knowledge deficient is different from the work from somebody who is knowledge sufficient, right? So that's the whole idea of what we need to focus on when we are doing these audits, right? And then, as I said, strategize based on your audit. So you might say, okay, in time split distance, I'm knowledge deficient, I'm knowledge sufficient. I need to my ability sufficient, knowledge and ability sufficient in time split distance. So I need to improve my speed and conversion. So my focus on when I'm sitting on my time split distance for one study session, the focus is speed work. So I'm trying to push myself to read once and solve. I'm trying to push myself to write less. I'm trying to push myself to use numbers while solving instead of algebra. So that's what I'm doing there when I'm sitting for my study session. But at the same time, let's say if my geometry is knowledge deficient, then I have to do knowledge work. My focus when I'm sitting on geometry is I have to teach myself how to get through the questions, because I'm at a point where I'm not able to solve things.